Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is United in Liberty Radio. We'd like to welcome you out tonight. This is Joe Olivas.
I'm Dustin Harris.
We're glad to be here with you, glad to be able to spend time and talk about principle, talk about things that are going on within our country, our government, what usurping authority has been taking place, the things that have been happening, and things that we see down the road.
I'll tell you, Joe, one thing I really enjoy is the opportunity to vent. You know, it's awesome, I think, as we start to focus on principles, start to focus on truth, and then we see what's going on the internet, we see what's going on in the world, and it's one thing to get frustrated. It's a whole other thing to be able to be a part of a show like this, where we can talk, where we have a meager audience out there who's listening in, and we have an opportunity to talk about what really matters. And there's a lot of things on my mind right now.
Well, I think there's a lot of things on the minds of most every American, at least every real American. We've got quite a bit of individuals out there who would advocate for the move to socialism. I think mentioned before we got on the air this evening that it is now socially acceptable to be or to admit that you have socialist ideas and socialist mentality, and socialist leaning, if you will. But the reality is, it's just a sad case, and real Americans everywhere are past waking up to what's going on. We are mobilized, if you will. We are doing things within our communities. We are doing things across the country, whether it be protests, whether it be rallies, whether it be just door to door talking to our neighbors and friends and individuals about what's going on. This is definitely a great time to be part of this country. I'll admit it. I think Obama was good for the country in the sense that he's woken individuals up to our nature, our apathetic nature, and I think we've gotten past that now.
That comment's going to be all over YouTube here.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will be.
Joe Olivas thinks that President Obama was good for the country.
That's right. I think he was. You know what? Because really, I mean, you look at some of the other individuals. I mean, I think because of what we were doing as a nation, because what we were doing as a country, and because what was becoming more and more socially acceptable. Had it not been Obama, had it been a different president, I think we would be experiencing the very same things that we're experiencing now. But I believe we would have experienced them at a much, much slower pace.
Oh, I agree with that. No doubt about that.
I mean, the people that were running against Obama, and I'm going to name McCain specifically, I don't believe that he was trained in the art of socialism, or communism like Obama was. His advisors, the many different advisors in college, his professors, his pastor, and all of his associates are very Marxist in their ideology and their thinking. And because he's been trained that way, his steps were going to be much more rapid. But I think as a country, if we ended up with a different president in this particular time, we would have been down this path. It would have been a much slower path, harder to detect for a lot of people who were asleep. And so.
Well, that's no doubt, Joe. I think, as we watch people get involved, it's kind of exciting, to see across the country people getting off their couch, people turning off the television. They're going to rallies. They're doing this. They're doing that. But one of the cool things is to watch soccer moms, to watch individuals that have been so wrapped up in their lives that freedom and liberty really didn't mean that much to them, or not that it didn't mean that much to them, but I guess they didn't see and didn't have the same reason, if you will, to get up off the couch, to get up and do something. And it's exciting to see the country wake up a little bit.
Well, I mean, when things start happening, the last 8 years, I'm not going to say that they were great. There was still challenges, but economically, I think things were going pretty okay for quite a few individuals. And so they didn't have a direct concern, if you will, of what was going on in Washington. It wasn't quite affecting them, but a lot of them are losing their jobs. A lot of them are out of work. I think a significantly more amount of people are out of work than actually being reported. I think the job numbers, that show that things are improving, I think that's just a joke. I mean, how many census workers had to be hired? I mean, those jobs aren't permanent. Those jobs are temporary.
Right.
I mean, unless we're planning on doing it every single month. I don't know. I mean, that's just a mistake. But,
well, we could. I mean, I guess we could perpetually have the census, right?
Well, I guess people are being born every day, so I mean, I guess you'd probably need to, but that's just one of those. I think because of what's been going on, because of the different things that people are experiencing, it's now affecting them every day. It's affecting how much gas they can put in their car. It's affecting how many groceries they can buy, what type of groceries that they're buying. It's affecting their ability to go out and entertain themselves, whether it be out and doing fun things as a family that perhaps cost a little bit more. People are thinking differently about how they're spending their money because it's affecting them in their pocketbook, and now they're starting to realize that what goes on in Washington does indeed affect what goes on in their own living rooms,
and the fun thing is to watch people realize that not only do they know that what happens in Washington affects their lives, but they also find out that what they do in their lives affects Washington.
Yeah.
And so that's an exciting thing as well. One of the things that happened, Joe, this week that I'm excited to talk about, just because it makes me so livid, and I don't know, I turn on the radio, I turn on the news, I get on the internet, I vent, and so I'm grateful for the opportunity to kind of vent into the mic a little bit. But I got my Money magazine on Monday. Now, I'm not a Money magazine type of a guy, okay? I did not order Money magazine. I have no idea why I get Money magazine. It started coming about 5 months ago to my home. It has my name on it. I now have a subscription to Money magazine. I really don't read it. I'm involved in other things. I may glance through maybe some of the articles once in a while. I'll be honest with you, Joe. I put it in the bathroom, and it's there. And sometimes I'm in there, and sometimes I got to read something. So sometimes I reach over and I glance through it. And lately I've figured that Money magazine works pretty good as toilet paper. That's about as good. That's about as good as it is. But,
well, the paper is nice.
It's recyclable.
Yeah,
recycle.
You're helping the environment. You're
right.
It's funny to look at those types of magazines. You look through those magazines. Most of the people that are in those, most of the advertisers in those magazines, not like any other advertiser, but this is a money magazine. This is a magazine for people to grab because they want to learn about money. And what are they going to get? They're going to get, the articles are going to be closely related to the advertisements that are in the magazine.
So you think?
Yeah. So those.
You mean these guys think like capitalists?
Yeah, I mean that's
weird.
You're going to have a magazine where people are going to write articles specific to the types of advertisers within the magazine, and what are those advertisers trying to do? They're trying to sell you on their ability to help you make money.
Right.
And so it's that's why people pick up the magazine. But
well, you know what? I picked up the magazine Monday, and I carried it from my mailbox into the bathroom. That's where it goes. And as I was walking, I noticed there's a nice little Norman Rockwell-ish picture on the front, an old-fashioned doctor, putting the tongue depressor in some kid's mouth, and he's got a stack full of cash in his hand. And I thought, what's that all about? The cover story, Joe. The truth about healthcare reform. I mean, now we've got it.
Well, because Money Magazine knows.
Oh, I mean, we probably should have went to them in the beginning. When Nancy Pelosi said we need to pass the bill to know what's in the bill, we should have just went to Ted Turner.
We should have. Well, maybe Money Magazine actually wrote the bill.
Well, that's a thought, because there's as much fluff in this magazine as I think there is in the bill itself.
It probably would have been nice had they done that, because by the look of that magazine, there's probably only about 128 pages as opposed to the 1,000 plus.
Well, you got to, but if you stack Money magazines up high enough, you could equal it.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll have to make sure we get enough Money magazines to equal that.
Here's the teaser. Okay, what you will need to know. This is about obviously healthcare reform. What you will need to know about how your family will benefit, what you will really pay, because they know, whether you'll get better or